Hello, everybody. This is Karen Huller. I'm the founder and owner of Epic Careering. I am here today to present to you with some information on employment branding, hoping to connect the dots and close the gap between top talent and the companies that really need them to bring them into tomorrow. So this is Mission Build Team Tomorrow, Epic Employment Branding Essentials. A little bit about me. Again, I founded Epic Careering. Actually, it started as Résumé LLC. That was 8 years ago. Prior to that, I had a successful career in executive recruitment and IT recruitment. And what I learned on both sides of the table is that there is a lot of misconception out there, and there's also the tricky big factor of evolving technologies and how that changes not just how companies search for talent, but also how talent connects with a company. So my goal really is to make sure that not only that gap closes between talent who is looking for their next opportunity, their next big contribution, and companies who not just need that talent, but really become an organism based on that talent. So what probably brought you here, what you wanted to learn from this presentation is why most employers and recruiters fail to attract top echelon talent. Everybody's looking for them, not everybody gets it. The number one key to employment branding success, probably not what you think. What to focus on most, the people versus the company identity, and some critical metrics that most companies never even track, but that can really impact your success in hiring and obviously your profit and your ability to create new jobs and reach your customers even. And then 3 investments that can cut hiring and attrition costs in half. Also, 5 common challenges of implementing new human capital strategies. So some questions for you. Would you rather have your recruiting staff in the office sorting through databases full of questionably qualified candidates, or if you have vendors such as third-party recruiting firms sending you candidates, would you rather them be just trusting that the recruiting firms are out there finding the top talent, or would you rather have the top talent that's out there who's already been working for your competition and helping them perhaps even move past your company or threatening to move past your company in innovation or in sales and market share? Would you rather having them seeking you out? I think probably the answer for that is probably pretty clear for most of you. You're probably seeing the picture about how a powerful brand, employment brand, can really make you more of a magnet. When you're more of a magnet to customers, when you're more of a magnet to candidates, when you're more of a magnet to executive leadership, then there's a lot less cost involved in the operations of your business, and you can focus and reinvest that in new technologies. And I think that's where a lot of companies, especially, well, even startup companies, even well-established companies, start to struggle, is that everybody has to be making these investments in technology so frequently now, just with the pace of evolution of technology, that when you're spending your money just trying to survive or thrive or fill in gaps between the operations in your business, the infrastructure of your business, that can really hold you back quite a bit. Top talent feeds your business growth. Not just even the salespeople, but I mean, there's obviously, when there's a gap in the operations or the infrastructure of your business, you can just see how that can create bottlenecks and how business processes don't flow. And when business processes don't flow, even if they're in cost centers of your business, you can really wind up dumping some of that capital into those bottlenecks rather than, again, back into the investments that enable your company to grow and thrive. So your business growth can really potentially die. And here's where this is the number one key to employment branding that most people miss, if your business lacks a soul. Or if your business has a soul, but the talent that's outside looking into your company can't detect it. Those are the things that, this might sound weird because I don't mean that your company, is really, a person or a spirit entity or something like that. What I really mean is that the people of your company have individual personalities, they have individual energy they bring to the table, but collectively, that is what makes a company grow. And I think that you've probably, if you've attended any business seminars, webinars, read any of the books from the gurus on business growth and collaboration, what you know is that a group of people can achieve exponentially more than individuals working individually. So this doesn't just look like putting people together on teams and having them look at what we're really talking about. A group of people understanding who they are as a group of people. And then how do you articulate that to the rest of the world? How do you put that into a brand? How do you make sure that other people can detect that from the outside world? It's definitely got to happen in the conversations of the people who are within the group, being able to articulate that out to other people, just word of mouth, getting other people excited about what's going on within the company itself. But also, and I think the challenge that most companies have in the branding is that how do you transfer the energy of a company and all the people in it to words for your marketing, for your social marketing, for your website, for your seminars, for all of the things that your company does to get the word out, raise awareness, raise visibility about what you're up to in this world. This frame obviously portrays something that's pretty evident. The competition for talent is going up, and I don't just mean because the economy is recovering, of course that's the case, but competition for talent is increasing simply because the people with the newer skills that are going to carry today's organizations into tomorrow aren't as vast as the number of people who are out there looking for jobs. So there's various pieces of the puzzle that have to go on to get our organizational culture into a place where all of these gaps are filled, and that includes training people who don't have those skills to bring companies into tomorrow, getting more people out there with those skills. That's a job that most of us look to a government or our academic institutions to provide. That's a different problem. But then there's also the fact that when these people do have these skills, they're using tools of yesterday in order to identify the companies that need them. And so while I'm working on that side, while I have been working and dedicated for the past 8 years to helping the individuals, the talent, and the clients that I work with, they're really brilliant. They're go-getters. I mean, they are really motivated. Anybody who makes an investment in their career is somebody who really wants to make a huge contribution with their profession. They're not just looking for a job, any job. There are people out there who want that, but they're not the ones who become my clients. The ones who become my clients are the ones who really feel like they want to spend their time in their job making a difference. And maybe that sounds, pie in the sky or idealistic, but we do. We're here on this planet for a short period of time. We have our families. We have things that mean something to us outside of our work. If we're going to spend time going to a job or even working from home from a job, doing something outside of those things that bring us joy, the interactions with our family, it should mean something. And so these individuals, they're not really few and far between. It's just that they're very difficult to surface. They're not trained specifically, my clients are, but they're not trained in making it really evident to you, the employer, that they have what you're looking for. They're not trained to proactively find you and seek you out. They're trained to go out to job boards. And maybe not trained, but conditioned to go out to job boards and look at job postings and see if they fit in this little box of a description. And even if they don't, apply and cross their fingers and hope and wait. And even if they know that they should be out networking, it's what do they say in a networking situation? Are they saying what really matters to you, or are they saying, these are problems in your organization that I can solve. I want to understand your goals of the organization, and these are the skills and the talent that I can apply to help you achieve your goals. I mean, how many people are really saying that to you? My clients would be the people who could do that, but very few do. And so the ones who can really stand out, and actually the converse is true as well. Very few companies, I find, are really able to articulate to the excitement about, what is it that's so great? And maybe you have one piece of the puzzle, and you don't need like a whole big tent of excitement like a circus. It can just be one really, truly attractive claim to fame. One perk or one service that you provide that's like above and beyond. It's better than anybody ever provided, or even just some kind of cool office environment. I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that can go into creating a culture and organization that nurtures its talents so that they're retained, they stay, they are engaged, they start. And employment engagement, and that's part of employment branding. It's not what we're going to focus on today, but when there's employee engagement, there's even less that needs to be filled in as far as a gap goes in the employment brand. That's a natural conversation that people that work with your organization have, and it's not necessarily even about what they say. It's about the energy with which they say it to other people that gets other people excited. And if they're not trained to say certain things, then how you train your employees to talk about your company is absolutely a really critical part of employment branding. So in corporate hiring, there's a lot of things going on, just like a lot of pieces of the puzzle to all the different facets of hiring, employee engagement, employee branding, employer branding. In hiring, let's evaluate all of these things. There's the data. Okay, so data has gained a lot of popularity recently because we've gotten much better at capturing it, and when we are better at capturing it, then we're better at evaluating it, and then when we're better at evaluating it, we're better at implementing new technologies or new strategies, new processes and procedures that take into consideration the data and really move us forward into improving. And it's not like necessarily we can get from A to Z particularly, but if we can get from A to B, B to C, and so on and so forth, that's progress. And progress is where we all need to be. Tools. We have the applicant tracking systems, we have customer relationship management systems, we have enterprise systems, we have tools such as things that social media, things that blast out job boards, we have job description builders, we have, not that I've seen very many that are that great, but we're working on that actually. Then there's the strategy, and I think sometimes the strategy just by nature winds up being more reactionary. I think it is, we'll talk about the challenge of really kind of foreseeing where the talent landscape is going, and then making adjustments and fine-tuning. The brand, and that's something that I think people are a lot more aware of nowadays, but just in case you haven't really heard or been that familiar with what a brand is, when I first learned what a brand was, it was 2000, I'm going to say probably 2005. And I did this 3-day course with my recruitment firm at the time, an IT recruiting firm, and we were learning about how to, it was a recruitment boot camp or workshop. Talking a lot about branding and the power of branding and how we can develop our own personal brands as recruiters to distinguish ourselves among all of the different recruiters who were vying for this top IT talent, and the rock star developers who all these companies were seeking out. What I realized in going through that course is, number one, I've been doing branding all along, pretty much since I started my career, which was actually in radio. What we were doing for the clients who were advertising clients was branding. What I was doing for the talk shows that I was producing was branding. When I got into marketing, when I got into sales, that was something that was part of the process that I needed to include in order to be successful. And then when I got into executive search, and I got into an executive search firm, and what I did for that firm, that boutique firm, she had a brand. The owner of that company had a brand, you know, which I became intimately familiar with by being a really important cog in that firm. It was my job to go out there and make sure that in professional organizations and online and you know, with the candidates as individuals, that the brand of the reputation of the firm was clear. And then, you know, and then it's all becoming clear to me. This is what I've been doing all along. Maybe I hadn't been doing it as effectively, but it was definitely an important part of the process that I hadn't had a name for before. So when he called it branding and he was referring to my personal brand, I was like, oh yeah. And then I'm thinking to myself, that's exactly what brought me to this IT consulting firm in the first place. When I interviewed with them, I was highly excited about this firm. There were people coming back from some team building exercises. They were all muddy. They were smiling. They were happy. They were patting each other on the back. I saw them walk in, and I knew from that moment that I had to get this job. I was like, wow, that's so cool that they were out there getting dirty, and that's something that appealed to me. They told me they were a work hard, play hard type of firm. And that was totally evident to me as these people walked in with mud on their faces, smiling. Me being a work hard, play hard type of person, I appealed to them too, which was great that I got to work there for so long. And there were people there that had a lot of tenure, and they had some really cool programs going on that did definitely distinguish the firm from any others out there. They had a dedicated person called a consultant relationship manager. She would just go out to the consultants who were on contracts and just make sure everything was okay. Bring them little goodie bags. You know, she would check in with the hiring managers. She was, you know, truly a distinguishing person in the firm. There was also this perk that they had. They had a consultant of the month. The owner had a car, a Prowler. I don't know if you know what they are, but they're really cool, bright yellow car. And they used to give their consultant of the month the Prowler for a weekend. I mean, talk about like really cool things. Unfortunately, with liability issues, and then you know, unfortunately, that firm had to make cuts. When they did that, and they lost a whole bunch of the people that really comprised the firm, to me, it seemed as though their identity really suffered. And when we went through this course, it raised questions for me of, well, who is my firm? Who is Devon Consulting? What, you know, how do we present ourselves? How do we distinguish ourselves now? We don't have the consultant, you know, relationship manager. We don't have the Prowler. We don't have most of the people that, to me, embodied the firm. How do we now go out there and compete with you know, the Accentures, the Liquid Hubs, you know, the big guys who are getting in with our clients? And you know, unfortunately, it became clear to me that they were hanging their hat on the fact that they'd been a firm for 25 years. And that seemed to be like the one thing. And yes, there's a lot of expertise. There's a lot of individuals here still that that still embody the firm. But with new people coming in, it was something that never really congealed, and something that I found to be really critical. And then unfortunately, that company no longer exists, or if it does exist, it's, you know, kind of I believe there might be 2 people or 3 people maybe operating it, or you know, maybe some people are still doing consulting for it. The owner is no longer associated with it, and most of the people who had been a part of it are in completely new roles. Some of them, I think, had gone back at times, but that's what can happen. So if your company loses its soul, and it doesn't mean that if you lose people, you can't, you know, reform something, but it's a priority that you really have to do. The new piece of the puzzle, we've always had metrics, you know, whether how we track them has changed, but the new piece is engagement. That's the new buzzword that everybody becomes evident. And I'm not just talking about engagement with your employees and making sure that they're really into the tasks and the roles that they're into, but I'm talking about engagement with the group, with the soul of the company, and engagement and out there in the world, and getting other people excited and engaged in what the company's up to and what the people of the company are up to. So engagement can mean enabling interaction between the candidate and the recruiter and the hiring manager. I mean, really starting a conversation. This is a gap in communication that's clearly evident to, I think, all parties. I think all parties could clearly say we could do a better job of communicating. We could do a better job of making sure that we understand where the process is, or relaying that information to other parties who are stakeholders in this process. Inducing an interest in a representative company or even an industry. And there's a lot of emerging industries out here. When I spoke last October at a SHRM event, I saw another speaker talk about how, or maybe it was a panel, 85% of the jobs that will exist 15 years from now don't exist right now. That obviously creates some challenges for the youth of today, even in career planning. I mean, how can they go to college and pick a major and know that they're making a really good investment in, what they'll eventually be doing? And then it also kind of raises questions about, well, what will happen to the disciplines and the majors that have been around for a long time? How will they look? How will they be applied? That when talent has challenges in doing their own career planning, talent will come across challenges in articulating to a company where they will add value and what they will do. And if you're an experienced professional, you have 3 to 5 years to 10 years to 15 years to 20 years, behind you, not that you won't have challenges in doing that, but you have a lot more experience to draw from, at least. But still, even those individuals don't really have a clear sense of what tomorrow will look like. We can all anticipate certain things. We can look at data and see what the trends are saying will happen for tomorrow. But I think what's always remained constant, no matter what, in the employment brand and social media, it's still people. It's still really about individuals and what individuals contribute as a group, and what they get excited about, and what their passions are, and how they apply their talents and skills, and what the company itself does. We need to transform human resources back into people valuing people. That's the number one key to employment branding success. So human resources, let's just take a look at that. There's human. I mean, do we talk about humans a lot? Do we really refer to each other as humans, or do we refer to people more as people? I mean, I think that maybe when we're talking scientifically, we might say humans, but then there's resources. It almost does make them sound as though all the individuals in a company are just a cog in a wheel. And if you look infrastructurally, it does appear as though all the people that are in an organization, if you look at an organizational chart, for instance, looks like everybody, plays a part. But let's really look at that more intrinsically. They're people. They come to your organization with varied backgrounds, varied perceptions, varied belief systems, varied desires, varied goals, varied challenges, varied self-limiting beliefs. These are all things that are kind of missing from being addressed in the process of branding, really understanding human behavior and how people engage and how people solve problems, and how people decide to make a choice. These are big decisions people make about their career to join your company. They don't take them lightly. And I think that there's a lot of focus on the organization and what it needs. And on the other end, while I'm working with individuals to make sure that they're focusing more on the organization's needs, it definitely has to be vice versa as well. So when you're looking at a corporate brand, I think a lot of people focus, when they develop their corporate brand, they develop a vision statement, a mission statement, and they talk about what distinguishes them from their competition. They talk about this, They probably think a lot about their customers, but do you think about the people who fit into your organization and what they're looking for as far as coworkers? I educate job seekers that employers will qualify you, based on your skills and your talents and your previous experience, and what you're capable of and how much clarity you have on your goals and focus. But that ultimately, if you're choosing between two equally qualified candidates, you're going to choose the candidate that fits your culture. Culture is something that tends to be a challenge to articulate to other people. You can talk about, excitement and blah, 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 but when you think about it, you're using some of the same words that when candidates use in the resume, they start to lose meaning, and it's the same thing. A lot of the employers are making the same mistake of using buzzwords. We're team-oriented, we're collaborative, we're exciting. Those words are great, and they're exactly what, a really excited and ambitious type of employee want. But how do you demonstrate that? That has to be consistent. The key to branding effectiveness is clarity and consistency. So you have to make sure that not only are you putting that out there on the website, you're using your social media outlets to make sure that what you're promoting demonstrates back to that. What you're out there doing as far as PR goes demonstrates that. The stories that you collect from customers demonstrate that. And absolutely, how you promote the individuals in your company promotes that. So that's something that's a lot of companies are now starting to realize. Not enough of them, however. Some companies are realizing that, hey, we should, for instance, start to really think about LinkedIn since we're starting to use that more heavily in recruiting, and think about how we're presenting ourselves on our company page and using the other tools that the company, the spotlight, and and maybe we should start to decide as a legal team, as a marketing team, as an organization, what we're going to say about our company and what we want our employees to say about our company. Maybe we should start looking at having profiles written by a professional. Those are examples. You cannot deny the intimacy of the employer-employee relationship. And by intimacy, it is a big decision to join a company. It is a lot of time spent away from family and things that usually mean the most to people, what people value most. If you downgrade that to just people come to work, they do their jobs, if you have that belief, it will limit you in the amount of talent or the caliber of talent that you're able to bring into your organization. Top talent. One thing that is consistent across the board is that they want to be excited about a contribution that they make. They usually crave appreciation and recognition from their employer. That's something that has to be evident throughout, but it doesn't have to look like that. They can just be proud of what they do, or get the acknowledgement from their team. Then let's explore, what it looks like to shop online or even at the store or even by phone. You can go into, say you're looking for a new cell phone. Okay, you might be able to go online and do some research and figure out what has the best features for you, what has the most battery life, what the apps look like and things like that, and with obviously pricing plans and all that great stuff. But since phones have become such important pieces to us in technology and tools we rely on, you can go to a store. You can test it out. Best Buy is now branding themselves as a store that you can go to kind of test out the devices and even look at them. Talking on the phone to people. I don't know how many people actually shop that way anymore, that they'll actually pick up the phone and talk. But let's think about canceling your service. Let's think about if you bought your phone online, just form. If you went to process it through a shopping cart and then bought it that way, how easy is it for you to cancel? Versus when you're in a store and you touched it and you worked with a sales rep, it's a relationship sometimes. I mean, maybe you're going to go to Best Buy and it doesn't matter what phone you actually buy, but you've developed some kind of relationship with that person. If you have a problem with the phone, what are you going to do? If you buy at the store, you're going to go back to that person. So when you think about, if you transfer that idea of shopping for a phone to looking for an opportunity, when people apply online through an application process, they get called, they have a phone screen, they come in for an interview, they're already less engaged with your company than if they were out at an event, if they had some kind of relationship with your company, if they went to the LinkedIn profile of the recruiter and gotten to see what this individual is, who this individual is that they're working with, and what is most important to them and what they do with their spare time. They're able to build better rapport, and when you build better rapport from the start, it's easier to build rapport throughout the process. And when you have rapport with the people that hire you, it transfers right into the onboarding process, the people that train you, the people that supervise you, the people that lead you, the people that mentor you. Let's just think about how people feel about monopolies. People, if Comcast was like the only service provider, let's say, of internet services, and you were kind of like stuck with them, that's not a great feeling. People like to know that they have options, and people feel like they have options. And if you tell them they have no options, that you're the best out there, you're the only one, and the price is just what they're going to have to pay, already less engaged. And as soon as some competitor comes on the market and is able to provide anything better, even if the whole package isn't better, a lot of people will jump ship. And it's the same thing with your employer brand. Is even if you are dominating the marketplace, even if you are the #1 employer, even if you are, if you position yourself as this, we're the end all be all, you want to come work for us, and so you'll just have to play victim to the processes that we use, that may not attract the top talent. The top talent is going to be turned off to that. What you'll probably get is second best or consolation talent, so to speak. You'll get the people who are just kind of like, okay, you're right, I'm stuck here and I'm doing that, and unfortunately you are opening yourself up to losing your talent in the future. So let's talk about your frontline people. When I talk about your frontline people, I'm talking about the people who are out there interfacing within the communities of talent that you are hoping to recruit from. So this does include recruiters. It does include even the recruiters who are employees of firms that are your vendors. It also includes your human resources professionals. It includes your salespeople, because your salespeople will be, certainly, while they're out there selling your product, promoting your product, marketing your product or service, they're also out there, looking at people who are potential employees for your company. We're also talking about executives. Executives are still frontline people as well. I mean, they are not maybe frontline people when it comes to sales per se. They're not out there, pushing the company in that way, but they're usually out there, at a best case scenario, they're out there establishing themselves as thought leaders. They're out there, at least. So if you're not thinking of your executive leadership team as a front line for recruiting, well, that's a major gap that is really good to identify. It's really good to see that, hey, we're not thinking about our executives as people who should be approachable to talent. I think there's a lot of fear around, what happens when you allow all of the candidates in the world to access your executive team. First of all, let's go back to that example that I talked about where we're talking about, how many candidates really are able to effectively articulate to you how they bring value to the table and what they really want to make as a contribution to your company. Very few. And the same thing is true. People have the ability to call a company switchboard and connect to an executive, but how many people actually do that? Very few. And again, how many companies really make it a point to make themselves best in class as far as recruiting processes? And I don't mean recruiting processes just internally and what's serving the company, but I mean recruitment processes that really make the candidate first. Are the recruiters in that company approachable? Are they accessible? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they giving people their contact information or some way to reach out to them? Are they approachable? In other words, are they sharing anything that's remotely personal about themselves that could make them seem as though they'd be really welcoming of a conversation with somebody who's a top talent. I think, again, most people kind of fear that being bombarded um, by the secondary talent, and let's talk about the kinds of people that actually go out there and proactively pursue you. Are the people that actually do, are the people who are resourceful, the people who are ambitious, the people who are tenacious, the ones who actually do go out there and seek out the information, the contact information, get in front of recruiters. Are they the best for your company, or are they just the best skilled? Well, those are really great skills for sales, but are developers going to be doing that? Are innovators going to be doing that? Are the thinkers, the strategists, are the um, are the customer support representatives? Are they going to be doing that? If they're my clients, like I said, yes, they'd be doing that. But they're not necessarily all the top talented people, that like the number one person you would particularly want to fit into your culture. So you can't just assume that if they're really great, they're going to come and find you. And that, you know, if we hide all of our contact information, if we make ourselves less accessible, then we won't have to worry so much about the other people who are contacting us. But are you approachable to the top talent? If the top talent wanted to get into your organization, how would they? How would they get there? Would they be a resume in your applicant tracking system? Would you be able to identify them? Lots of questions there. Are your frontline people relatable? Are they likable? Are they, or, I think that what I hear most commonly is that they can be. In a conversation about an opportunity, if there's really a skill set there that they start to get excited about, they can absolutely have a conversation with a recruiter that feels like it went well, like they're in process, like things are going to happen, and then they hear nothing. They don't get a call back. They don't get an email back. Or when they do, it's vague or it's, unclear. Likable people, it's not just about a first impression. It's definitely about seeing this as a relationship. You can really lose enthusiasm for your opportunities, for what your company is doing with people, and maybe sometimes the people that you're not interested in. But even those people that you're not interested could be talking to the people you are interested in. So leaving them with a bad impression is almost just as bad. Do you have to be likable to everybody? Do you have to appeal as an employer to everybody? No. You really have to understand who it is that usually winds up being hired and being successful in their jobs within your organization and appealing to them. That's really what branding is all about, essentially, is not being everything to everybody, but being the right things to the right people and having them recognize that very evidently. So what is there to get excited about as far as opportunities? There's definitely the people. You want people excited about your people. I've seen companies that have employee profiles on their website, and that's one great way to go. Then there's also what you do for people. So even if you provide a service to an organization, somewhere down the line that trickles down to people, and it's the stories about what a company does for people that gets people excited. And then get your people excited about what you do for people. So again, we were talking about how your company has a soul, and when your company as a soul has an organization that is running on the reputation, or not the reputation, but the excitement about, what's going on with the organization and how fun it is to work there, it comes out not just in what they say, but in how they talk about your organization. So we all know that there are certainly some things that most companies can track through the tools that are out there, the applicant tracking systems, the Talios or Oracles, the various tools usually keep track of, and you might know these. Just off the top of your head, you can identify, you can estimate based on percentages, your experience, the quality of your hire, how much time it takes from getting a requirement from a hiring manager, opening up a requirement, posting the job, to the time it takes to give an offer. Those things are very easily tracked. If you keep track of kind of as like a company would keep track of how billable a consultant would be, if you can keep track of how many hours are spent per hire, and then the cost per hire, we all know those metrics, and then new hire contribution. Which if you're not really, if there's no or few metrics around actual performance, that can be a tricky one. Some companies are realizing and putting in systems in place in their training so that they can make their new hires people who can contribute much sooner rather than later. And that's, you can obviously tell by how long it takes a training program to be completed and somebody to have the necessary competencies to perform their job and be an individual contributor. That can be something easy to see. But then there's also what you don't see, the nuances of a new hire being a contributor. Already adding to the soul of your company, so to speak, already raising the energetic level of what the company is doing. That looks like a lot more than just an individual's contribution to a company. It really magnifies when you put somebody into a group. What is that new hire bringing to the table as far as an energy goes, or raising morale or lowering morale? Those are things that are a lot less, you're a lot less able to track them. But you can at least do a better job of evaluating them, and there are tools out there that you can use to track them, and there's also really cool new ways to gather data and track metrics, such as gamification in your organization. How effective are these metrics for measuring recruiting effectiveness if you know that there are soft things, such as how a new employee raises or decreases morale or even performance and productivity around them? How can you really tell? And then when you think about it, what about candidate feedback? What about metrics that you really don't know? I mean, there are companies such as, Glassdoor, websites rather, that now people can rate, and share with other people what your interview process was like. Vault is another one. When people are aware of these websites and they're going there to evaluate you as an organization, just the existence of companies like this shows that, and people really do care about the kind of quality you put in to your recruiting process and onboarding, and then what people on the inside are saying about your company. People on the inside of your company, they could stay for a long time unhappily and disgruntlingly sharing really bad information about your organization that can have ripple effects, degrading the quality of hires for your company and therefore its productivity, its profitability, its ability to create new jobs. How are you preventing that? What kinds of systems are you putting in place to make sure that if somebody does have an issue with their hiring process, with their interviewing process, with their reviewing process, with their supervision process, that they're not going out to Glassdoor and Vault first, that they're coming to somebody within the organization who has the power to change and the desire to make some kind of change to make them happier. Responsiveness. How quickly do your recruiters get back to candidates who have been contacted about opportunities, or even when there is feedback, or how responsive are your hiring managers in evaluating the candidates that have been sent? These are problems that are really evident in many organizations, and usually there's fewer solutions out there. Maybe they're evident, but as far as somebody coming in and really just being able to put processes into place to make this a friendlier process, make it a faster process, make sure that the stakeholders who are involved in hiring get the bigger picture. That's putting it simply. There are a lot of things that can be done to make sure that responsiveness is something that's measured. And obviously when you measure something, you can evaluate it. And when you can evaluate it, you can improve it. And I think a lot of people just kind of throw their hands up in the air and just say, well, if we spend our time being responsive to candidates, then we're not spending as much of our time that we need to in sourcing new candidates. But there's also that's a catch-22. If you would have put more time and established a better reputation as a company who's responsive and considerate and really kind of treats candidates as though they are potential customers, then as though they're the sales team and there's a customer support system in place, just the candidate support system in place, then you would have fewer needs to spend as much time going out there and sourcing a new candidate pool. You'd have more top echelon candidates rather coming to you. Are you tracking onboarding satisfaction? So even if you have a training department, training processes in place, and even processes that may measure and test or certify the skills and the performance level of your talent, are you making sure that the people are being tested, that they are feeling as though they're getting the support and the training that they need to thrive, or are they just being put into some kind of system? Are they being mentored? Today's top echelon talent, they want to continue to expand and grow their skill set. They want high-touch managerial relationships. Not that the mentor has to be their manager, but just making sure that there's someone or a few people in the organization who makes it their priority to be among the employers, the people the people on the front lines of the organization, and nurture them. That's something, when you think about training, there are some companies who are really great use cases, or rather examples for other companies on how to implement a mentoring program. GE is, one of the best for sure, of making sure that when employees come in, and I don't know if you know nothing about GE's employment brand, it's a really good example to follow. You'll find GE people not only they stay with the organization, they get opportunities to grow and expand and move over here. The things that they're seeking, but even after they leave GE, these people are doing huge things in the world. They're starting their own organizations. They're becoming mentors on a wide scale. They always wind up being people who contribute exponentially to other people. Really good example to follow. So are you tracking how many top candidates you lose? Are you doing that? How about the ones who never called back? How about the ones you never even identified? You never even knew they were there. Maybe you never even had time to go out and take a look at your competition and see who they're using, or maybe the person that you need, the best person for your organization, isn't even someone who wound up working in that same capacity before. So these are the investments that you should be making to cut your costs. Personal branding. We're talking about the personal branding of the individuals who are the front line of your organization. We're talking about recruiters. We're even talking about promoting or even using vendors who have I'm talking about recruiting vendors who have recruiters who have LinkedIn profiles and active social media, and people who are not just pushing out job descriptions and gathering resumes. We're talking about people who are engaging, as well as their executive leadership, as well as making sure that people understand not just what these executives have accomplished as leaders, but also what they've accomplished as people and what's important to them as a person. What are their personal and deepest desires? Why are they doing what they're doing? Social media sensitivity training is definitely another one. If you're going to be putting your people out there and promoting that they should expose themselves personally in some way so that they are approachable, that can open up, and I think this is the fear, open up channels of communication with candidates that may go awry. And I think that there's situations that you can train your employees how to handle, and even just making sure that personally what they promote about themselves personally is based on what's best for the organization, the people of the organization, and the future of the organization. Then another investment would be to really make somebody dedicated to closing the loop with candidates. Just like There's customer support. You sell a product, you sell a service. If there's a problem or an issue with using it, there's somebody there or a staff of people there, call centers. People can call in. That's why people choose products these days. If there's support, it makes a huge difference. And the same thing would be true. If your recruiters don't have time because you're expanding so quickly to really get in touch with candidates that they've spent time evaluating and interviewed, you need to hire somebody or delegate that to somebody who calls back and closes the loop. It would not take long to develop a strong reputation as an employer who closes the loop. And when that happens, these people, whether they're hired or not, will have a favorable impression of your company and will help you disseminate that message in your brand. So the challenge is, okay, so we know that recruiting technology it's changing and how people adopt it and what people are adopting, and that's going to be constantly evolving. And so you're spending all this money for an increased reach and efficiency in hiring and retention, only to maybe have to reinvest in better, more updated, more improved, more powerful products in a few years. Then there's the huge, not just the capital contribution, but the human capital investment. I mean, when you do implement new technologies, there's the time it takes to train people on these new technologies, to get them to adapt. And adaptability is really something that's key, and it's something that I think there are ways to address making your workforce more agile, so that when this isn't changing, technology, the pace at which technology is evolving is only going to increase. So if you have a workforce that tends to be stagnant or resistant, that's something that's a quality of your workforce that you can work to improve. And when you work to improve that does become part of your brand. Should you adopt any technologies early, or should you let other people play trial and error? The point is, let's look at this. We're running out of time here, but I mean, there's things that you can do in-house. Should you go through a vendor? Should you have somebody dedicated internally to developing your brand, disseminating your brand? Should you outsource it? Can you stay ahead of your competition? Security and legal implications of everything, you definitely have to evaluate those. Should you integrate with an applicant tracking system or human resources management system? Do it immediately, eventually? What's your budget? These are all things that would need evaluation. However, really the biggest challenge is going to be fear. That sounds overwhelming. It sounds, and again, if you have that resistance in your organization to adopting change, and it might not be organization-wide, it could be a few people. No matter what, you'll face a limited availability of talent. There's going to be, even if we had government initiatives that would give people the training, the skills that they need to become the talent that your organization needs to bring them into tomorrow, even if they gain those skills today, the skills that they'll need tomorrow will be new and different. The way technology changes our user behavior, social media changes our user behavior, how we evaluate everything in our lives and make decisions is changed because of the technology that's available and that we're using these days. It's very difficult to predict the future hiring landscape. We did mention that earlier. So what do? Well, there's an evaluation process that needs to happen on your end, and then I'm here to let you know that Epic Careering can also help you evaluate these things too. But your current hiring performance shortfalls, are those metrics such as, are you losing top talent? Are you even finding the best talent? Are you being rated out there on Glassdoor or Vault.com, or even just word of mouth by people? Are there gaps in your data? Are you keeping track of how long it takes to onboard? Are you keeping track of how long it takes to post a job and then hire? Are you taking track of how many days candidates will sit in the inbox of a hiring manager? What are the missed opportunities? What happens if you don't fill these positions and you have gaps in the operational infrastructure of your organization? What are the actual costs there? What is your competitive Achilles heels? What are the things that are really causing your business to you're probably not failing, you're probably not, but all companies have these 3, 6, 9, 12-month, 3-year, 5-year goals. And if the talent isn't there to help you implement them, then it's almost guaranteed that those goals are not going to be realized. So what are those things? Where are those gaps in the hiring that can prevent your organization from reaching their performance, their in revenue, their market share goals? And what is the competition doing? Not that you should be following the competition. All those questions about what is the competition doing? Are they investing here? What the competition is doing for them may not be the best thing for you to do. So if you do nothing, are you going to be able to achieve the organizational goals? Even if you can look, well, if the marketing's in place, sure, we'll be able to do that. And now there's technology for this and automation for that. And you still need people at the soul of your company. At the very least, do some discovery. That's what that says down there. Do some discovery. Take a look at everything. And then I'd like to make an offer here to you to do a free evaluation with you. To just kind of like look at what the next 12 months look like. We do a client employment branding, breakthrough plans, 12-month plans that can help you, not just make sure that things will change, that is certain. Technologies will change and behaviors will change based on the technology. But in the next 12 months, we can help you really put systems and procedures and environment and culture and communications into place around your brand that enable you to set yourself up for the optimal success in achieving your corporate goals. So, one offer here, free consultations. I actually have two, I had three, now I have 2 slots available this afternoon for free 45-minute consultations. You may be watching a pre-recorded version of this because I am recording this and making it available. So if this right now it's September 9th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Time. This afternoon, starting at 3 p.m., I have 2 45-minute slots available for free consultation to evaluate your employment branding situation and to see if you might be a candidate for a 12-month breakthrough plan. Either way, you can message me now through the Join Me tool if you're attending. You can also follow up with me with any questions. If there are any questions, you can still text me. There's a tool right there. If you are on and you want to text me any questions, feel free to follow up with me. That's my email address, my personal email address, Karen@epiccareering.com. You can also give me a call at 610-888-6939. If you'd like to grab one of those consultation slots, if you'd like to schedule a consultation slot in the very near future, do email me. And you can also use the link that was available through Eventbrite. Good luck with all of your employment branding and building team tomorrow. I wish you the best of luck, and I'm here to help you infuse your company with soul to attract the talent that will enable you to thrive and grow and bring your company into tomorrow. Have a great day.